Ah, Peter, good to see you. I trust you had a good summer break. Anything exciting or exotic?
Not really, Mr. Triffick. We visited my wife's ex university friends in San Francisco and one of my old colleagues in Canada before having a few days with the in laws on the Isle of Man. Yeah. Other than that, I've been preparing for the new school year at Leafy Lane Academy, and I'm very excited at taking up my new post as head of school. How was your summer, sir?
Now, Peter, let's not stand on ceremony. No, you can call me Liam. I may run a tight ship, but you'll find that it's with a human face. I like to think of our multi academy chain made up of 25 schools, 1,800 staff, and 20,000 students as one big happy family into which you are warmly welcomed and assimilated.
I think you'll find he's talking about your holiday, sir.
Oh, you're asking about my summer. Well, Mrs. Triffick and I decided to keep it low key and relaxing, so we spent the whole time at our Tuscany farm, and had various friends and relatives come out to join us. Yeah. I found the cruise and shark fishing in Barbados last year a little much. Anyway, down to business. I just thought we could have a little chat about your plans for Leafy Lane.
He means your school, Mr. Putterpon, not just any Leafy Lane.
I gather you received all the information telling you how to organise the staff and curriculum and what colour schemes your displays need to be, etc. Yeah. Oh, and the vending machine. Yeah, and catering contracts you need to stick to. Yeah. Yes.
Yes, Liam. All that was very informative, and it's nice to know that I have a good backup from the top.
Yes, we're with you 24/7. Well, you don't want to waste time on things like school kitchen matters when you've other fish to fry, so to speak.
Sir is talking metaphorically here.
Well, the meals are cheap and cheerful, and at least it means we can have a fast throughput so that the pupils don't get a chance to mess about in the dining halls. Anyway, I digress. Above and beyond what I need you to do, what plans do you have for the school this coming year?
Well, as you know, Leafy Lane is an outstanding school according to the last Ofsted inspection. Its exam results are well above national expectations in all subjects, from our youngest children doing SATs to the sixth form A-level results.
So the only way is down, eh? No, I'm only joking, old boy. No, do go on.
When I was in California, I came across a community and its school that was heavily into sustainability. Their whole ethos was designed to help save the planet. By the way they ran the school, it operated the curriculum, and how this fitted with sustainable lifestyles more generally in its community. I thought this might be a funny American thing, so when I returned to the UK, I did some research, and it seems we have schools like this as well.
Sounds a bit hippyish to me, Peter. And what about the exam results?
Strange as it may seem, Liam, these schools had great results like ours. But they also had some added extras, such as improved critical thinking skills and understanding of human rights, which I'd like to see implemented at Leafy Lane.
Well, before we start talking about these added extras, I think you might find it best to carry on like your predecessor. Yeah, Colin compliant. After all, as the saying goes, if it ain't broke, why fix it, eh?
An excellent maxim, sir.
Colin had made sure that we taught the basics to the younger ones and coached the older ones for the exams very successfully. He also ran a tight ship and made sure any troublemakers were excluded and any pupils who struggled had access to a counsellor or performance coach. What's not to like?
Oh, please bear with me, Liam. From what I've seen, schools that have an embedded sustainability ethos are happier places for staff and children. They have motivational curriculums, excellent pupil voice opportunities, and work with their communities to bring down carbon and water footprints and drastically reduce waste. They also retain staff more readily and think globally whilst acting locally. For example,
Steady on, Peter. Before we get to your examples, I feel a slight edge of criticism in your analysis of what Leafy Lane needs. May I point out to you that Leafy Lane is part of a bigger academy picture?
we always need the bigger picture.
Yes, and we need a certain amount of conformity to maximize the efficiency of our operation. And for your information, this includes a lot of sustainability. Why, only last year we had solar panels fitted to all our buildings, and these bring in a pretty penny for the Academy Trust to the extent we can afford to subsidise the poorer children on the ski trips.
Oh, I do love a slippery slope.
So, if you intend to throw various babies out of the bathwater, you may need to think again.
It's not a case of throwing babies out of the bathwater, Liam. It seems to me that sustainability goes above and beyond solar panels and ground source heat pumps and things like that. Does it really, sir? And you need to think about what you're spending the extra money on, because things like skiing trips and extra stuff in general have huge carbon footprints. And perhaps we should be asking ourselves whether in these days of climate emergency, we should be part of the flying culture.
My dear Peter, you just told me you jetted off on holiday stateside. Don't you think that smacks of hypocrisy on your part?
I can see why you think that, Liam. And it is, which is why I've decided to give up flying in the future. After all, the leaders in these schools I've been telling you about generally don't fly for ethical reasons. They are literally values led.
So these virtue signallers actually don't fly? Do they wish to deprive others of this right as part of their jobs? They should leave their personal beliefs at the school door.
But Liam, as an educator, you can't just put your values and beliefs into boxes. After all, you wouldn't want any of your heads to be racist or misogynists.
Well, as long as they left such things at home and they didn't encroach on school matters and didn't feature in social media that others could pick up on, well, that's their business. As true educational professionals, we should be seen as non-political, non-factional, and non-controversial.
Definitely not controversial.
Our main aim is to educate the young people in our care through the delivery of the national curriculum and the exam syllabus content. We need to steer clear of unnecessary distractions. That way leads to anarchy and madness. We should not inculcate young minds with things that may cause them distress or lead them astray. Haven't you read about the detrimental effects of climate anxiety? I'm sure this is made worse by the so-called progressive teachers banging on about climate change too much. Just leave it to the appropriate geography and science schemes of work, that's what I say.
But surely, Liam, we can't ignore the climate emergency and the desire of young people to do something about it. It's these sustainable schools I've been telling you about. They do lots of practical things to address it, involving all the pupils. This helps to alleviate the anxiety because pupils feel good about being part of the solution.
What can a mere school do to address this sort of issue? I certainly had no trucks with the pupil strikes a couple of years ago. Gave a lot of them unauthorised absences.
Serves them right.
We need to wait for the boffins to come up with something. Mirrors in space or some such thing, you know. In the meantime, we need to get on with teaching the pupils useful things. Yet that will help them get into university and to keep our economy growing. Without increased GDP, the UK will be dead in the water.
But Liam, we can't just have more GDP growth on a finite planet. It just doesn't make sense. Having read around this subject and talked to these leaders for sustainability, it's more sensible to prepare young people for a very uncertain future by equipping them with skills such as critical thinking and show them the new green job possibilities. Not too critical, I hope, sir. They also need to know more about the science of the natural world and ways of experiencing it and appreciating it through the arts. They also need a more relevant and motivational curriculum which encourages them to think globally and act locally.
Peter, have you joined some sort of cult? If we at Traditional Academy Trust operated like this, the trustees and parents would be up in arms.
With respect, Liam, I think you'll find that most parents, if not trustees, would be thoroughly supportive of TAT embedding sustainability. It could become a real feature of our operations. The young people could have more agency and help us to run things along sustainable lines.
Sounds a bit dangerous, sir. Sort of the lunatics taking over the asylum.
For example, one school I looked at made sure they procured free trade things, switched their bank and insurance companies to those that didn't invest in fossil fuels, and took over their own catering so they could source local food, cook it on the premises, and make dining a pleasure rather than a production line process. Production lines are efficient, sir. They even went back to China plates and played classical music in the background. All this was instigated by the school council, and the school ran with it. The curriculum was revamped to include all this and more, making it more experiential and motivational.
Well, Peter, you seem to be very inspired by all this sustainability malarkey, and I do take it that you'll try out some of this stuff in the coming year at Leafy Lane, eh?
Yes, sir. Liam, can I have your seal of approval?
Well, I found this conversation very enlightening, Mr. Put-upon, and I'll give it some thought, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible, yes.
Thanks, Liam. I'm so relieved that you're taking all this seriously. I was worried you'd dismiss it out of hand. Oh, wouldn't it be great to mainstream sustainability across TAT?
Well, goodbye, Mr. Put-upon.
Goodbye, Liam, and thanks.
Mary, has Mr. Put-upon signed his contract with us yet?
No, Mr. Triffitt. I was just about to email it to him.
Well, don't, Mary. I'm afraid we're going to have to rethink all this. Please contact the supply agency and ask if they can give us an interim head for Leafy Lane while we look to make an alternative permanent appointment.
Oh, good call, sir.
Well, I fear that our family cannot accommodate Mr. Put-upon. It appears he's had his head turned by the lunatic fringe, and after that, please book my vintage Bugatti in for a service.